Hello, everyone, and welcome to Junior Day. We're so excited to have you with us tonight. My name is Katie Yorchak, and I serve as the Director of Admissions Operations at Alma College. I'm a proud graduate and finished my time here in 2011 and have been so happy to serve in my role for the past few years. We have an exciting agenda for you tonight to help you look forward to what's to come in your senior year and navigating the college search process. So we'll hear from some of our faculty members here on campus. You'll be able to learn more about athletics, performing arts, and residence life. You'll also hear from some current students and get a tour of our campus, virtually, of course, but you'll still feel right at home. Also wrapped up into the evening, we have some fun giveaways. So in order to get some swag so you can go into your senior year with Alma College all over your shirt or on a lanyard, make sure that you post your questions in the chat. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that as we go through the night. So what we'll do at the end is if you've asked a question, your name will get put in and we'll just draw some names out. So make sure that you're keeping those questions close and that you're asking them. Make sure, too, that your name is in the question. We want to make sure that we're going to send the prize to the right person. So if you're on someone else's account, again, make sure that you put your name in there. So I think what we'll do is we will go ahead and we'll start. We'll start to welcome some of our faculty over into the evening. So with us tonight, we have Dr. Laura von Walmenick. She is our Associate Professor of English. We have Dr. Brianna Harfman, who is our Assistant Professor of Integrative Physiology and Health Science. And we also have Dr. Peggy Yates, who is our Assistant Professor of Education. Hello, everyone.
Hello, glad to be here.
Hello.
Good. Happy to see your faces. So why don't we go ahead and go around, and I'll have you just give a little intro of yourself. And then of course we'll pay attention to what our students are wanting to know, but we'll just kind of talk through what are academics like at Alma College and what could students expect to see if they were to come and visit us or ultimately be a student at Alma. So Dr. Von Walmanek, I'll start with you.
Sure. My area is English and composition and American studies, and my specialty is in the intersections between literature and the legacies of slavery and colonization. So everything from that early 16th century to today. Gives me quite a lot of stuff to teach, but that's kind of the fun thing about working at Alma.
Sure does. And I always love hearing your stories about your spring terms that you've taught. So hopefully we'll get to that eventually too. All right, Dr. Harfman.
Hi, everyone. I am also a proud graduate of 2011, like Katie Yorchuk, go Scots. As she mentioned, I am an assistant professor of integrative physiology and health science, which in other terms is human biology. So I studied the human body. And my area is specifically in circadian rhythms, which is how your body changes throughout the day. And then I also, for those of you interested in pre-health, am one of the co-chairs of the Pre-Health Professions Committee.
Great, thank you. And Dr. Yates?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. I am Dr. Yates, and I am an education professor, and my specialty area is special education. And I am also a proud alumni of Alma College, but not 2011, the class of 1992, which means that I had all kinds of experience after I graduated with my teaching degree. I was able to go into the field and teach for 25 years. Hello, Katie. How are you? You were a seventh grader way back then, which means that when you come to Alma College and you are studying to be a teacher, that you are truly learning from someone who has been in the trenches. I don't want to call teaching in the trenches, but been there and got really, I have the experience to be able to train new teachers, and it is just an absolute delight to be a faculty member at Alma College and get to train that next generation of teachers who are going to take over from where we left off.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. So I think as we know that our students with us tonight are coming off of their junior year, and they are more than likely ready for a new beginning and a fresh start, right? And going into that senior year, getting excited about college and new opportunities, and what will I study, right? What will I be able to do when I'm in the classroom? What's that relationship like with my professors? Are the classes small? Are they big? So kind of going back to the basics, if one of you wouldn't mind just giving some insight as to what it's like to be a professor at Alma and have that relationship with your students, and what are your current students working on, and what can our students get excited about with Alma?
Sure.
I'll jump in.
Well, you want to take that one?
I would love to take that one. I will say I really wanted to come back to Alma. And if I hadn't come, well, I wanted to come back to Alma because of the size. As a student, I loved the size of Alma, and I loved the relationships that I built with my professors. I was friends with many of my professors after I left Alma College. I think the fact that you have classes that maybe in your first or second years might be a little bit bigger, but when we're talking bigger, we're talking the largest class maybe being like 50, 60. Those are the ones I know of. And then smaller classes, you might have classes that have 10, 12, 16. And I remember having those classes and really getting to know my professors through those classes. When I left Alma and went to graduate school, I called some of my professors and asked them for advice after the fact. Some of them visited me in Kentucky and took me out to dinner. And as a professor now, I love building those relationships. I love checking in with students after they have left Alma, seeing where they are, talking to students while they're on campus, not just about classwork, about their academics, but also about how they're doing. What are the extracurriculars that they're involved in? Going and watching them at different games or meets or events and seeing all the talents that they possess. And so I think the biggest thing I'll highlight is just those strong relationships that you do get to build.
Dr. Von Walmanek, do you want to piggyback off of that a little bit?
I just add to that so I came here from a very different kind of school. My first job was teaching at University of Washington in Seattle with 35,000 students. So these things are not things to take for granted. It really changes how you teach. So for me, what really matters about being at Alma in terms of the academics is the ways in which that ability to see my student outside of just the classroom and get to know them in a kind of 360-degree view. It fundamentally changes everything about how I teach, because I'm not just thinking about what I'm teaching you in the semester I have you. I'm seeing whether or not you've retained that a year down the road, because our students stay in touch with us. I'm sometimes seeing it. For instance, I just had 2 graduates of the class of 2005 come back, and we got to go out to lunch and to hear what they, were still thinking about from a class they took with me in 2003. Those are the sort of things that fundamentally shape how we teach at Alma. And it has everything to do, not just with our size, but with that ability and that emphasis we have on interacting with students in all of the different ways they learn on campus. And that learning is not always just in the classroom. It's on the field or on the stage, all those sorts of things.
And Dr. Von Wammenegg, I will echo that and say, when I think about my summer, being away from campus, I'm actually in Pentwater right now, and I was outside with a bunch of boats, but then boats kept driving by and making all kinds of noise, so I jumped in my car. My summer looks like this. The phone rings, and it's a student who has been offered a job in special education, like 7 of them, and they don't know what job to take, and how can I help them problem solve that. Next weekend, I'm going to a wedding of 2 special ed majors who are marrying each other, Mason and Cam, and it's just an honor to be a part of the privilege, a part of their process of becoming a teacher. Or it doesn't really matter what program you are in, if it's teacher education or if it's integrated health science or English, your professors are there for you. Like we advertise a small class size, and we are a part of your growing up process. So you are all rising seniors going into your senior year and starting to figure out what is it going to look like next year right now when you are taking off and you are going to a campus, and you want to be in the place where your parents are comfortable with you being there, and you are comfortable yourself, and that you know that there's going to be someone there to support you. And part of the reason I wanted to come back to Alma College and be a professor is to be a part of that process. And I think that we all pride ourselves in that piece where you get to know your professor. We help you plan your classes. To give you a quick example, and I'll be fast, we make adjustments for kids. We make adjustments for what's going on in the world. This past year, we've had a really rough patch in the world, right? Our global pandemic has really made life difficult. What my class did, my Monday and Wednesday class, we decided that we were going to live stream instruction to our Pine Avenue local students at the elementary, and we were able to give one-on-one instruction. Now that meant that last summer I had to rehaul over a class to say, I guess we're not going to the elementary, but we're going to make this work anyway. And I think all my colleagues would agree that we really made it work during the pandemic, and we're going to make it work moving forward. We very much pride ourselves in customer service to our students.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that insight. And I think just to go along with it, off of that relationship with student and professors, for those of you that do not know our academic calendar at Alma, right, I think this is something that as admissions representatives in our office, it's fun to talk about. You're not in class for 8 hours out of the day. You have some other things to look forward to. So, our structure is a 4-4-1. So we do a 4-month fall term, we do a 4-month winter term, and then we do a 1-month spring term. And so spring term happens just during the month of May, 1 class for 4 weeks. Your fall and winter terms are packed with lots going on. But, spring term is a nice kind of, right? It's busy and there's a lot, happening within that course, but it's a unique opportunity. And so I love hearing about spring term opportunities from our faculty. So I don't know which of you would like to take that on. I know all 3 of you have had some wonderful ones. And Dr. Yates, I still say, if I would have missed or if I would have been able to do that Disney trip, that would have been a plus. But Dr. Von Wammenegg, I know I just saw you raise your hand to take that question first.
I'll be quick. I have 2 spring term classes that I alternate between that I adore. The first one, though, is a travel course. That's one of the really amazing things about spring term, is that I can take my class elsewhere. And so one of the things I teach is Native American literatures. And so I teach a course on Lakota Lifeways, where we spend half of spring term on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. We work with tribal members, activists. We work on language, the sort of attempts to recover and to preserve the language. And my students get to understand issues in a way that they never could simply by reading the text. And it's a completely transformative experience. But the other spring term I teach, sometimes I don't travel, sometimes I'm here. And when I'm here, spring term is a chance to teach classes I couldn't normally teach. So I team up with a physicist and we teach a class on J.R.R. Tolkien's world building. So you have a scientist and a literature professor arguing over what happens in literature, how we build fictional worlds. And it's a blast because students get to see that the liberal arts means that I don't own literature. And a physicist can also be an engaged critical thinker and bring different perspectives to the text. So it's the sort of thing we can do in spring term, just things that are really outside the box.
Just to jump in there, I have a student in the lab right now for summer research, and she took your Tolkien class, and she was raving about it, so much so that my colleague, Dr. Branish, asked if it's possible for faculty to audit spring terms because she wants to take it.
That's awesome.
I'll have to check with Stuart, my colleague in physics.
I might be jumping in as well.
Well, Dr. Harfman or Dr. Yates, anything you would like to add about, spring term courses or just that interactive curriculum? I remember as a student, there was not one class that I walked into and it was, okay, sit, lecture. There are moments where you have classes that yep, today's a learning day, it's an absorb day. You have sessions where it is you're giving back, right? And you're involved in that learning process and working in groups and collaboratively. So anything unique, specific that you would like to talk about, just that you're witnessing with your students that you're working with and what you've heard them say, you know what, that has meaning. And because I think as students sit here, there are a lot of colleges to look at. And a lot of them are listening for that fine tune, right? Of what is it really about Alma? Why would I want to come and visit that campus, right? So if you could talk just a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Well, I can weigh in on that. We have spring term, right? And so it's not just spring term, let's travel. Let's go someplace in the world. Let's go there with our friends. But that's a good part too, right? So going there with your friends that you make on campus, it's about the experiential learning that you are going to experience. It's the clinical piece that actually makes our program in education and programs throughout campus actually extraordinary. Like when I think about my spring term, I was asked, what do your kids need to be able to have that polishing touch, to be able to be the best teacher, to be the one that knows exactly what to do on day one in the classroom. And I said, you know what, after they get done with all of their clinical experiences, and I don't mean clinical experiences with just, you're going to go do this field placement and I'm not going to be there with you. I'm talking about, I'm going to field placement with you. So, there were approximately 25 times where I get to watch my kids, my students who are studying special education, teach in the classroom and work one-on-one. And if you don't think that has an impact on how they interview, last week I had Matt had an interview down in the Jackson area, and he made it through the interview, and he said, he called me afterwards, which is like another wonderful thing about the program. He called me afterwards and he said, you know what I drew on the most? I drew on sitting at Pine Avenue with you over my shoulder correcting me. That's what I was thinking about in the interview. It wasn't necessarily my student teaching. It wasn't necessarily the clinical field experience. It was having you be my coach. And of course, that if you know me, I cried and, it was like, oh, thank goodness. But it's that process of us being able to create those clinical experiences, not just sitting on campus and studying about education or any other content area. But then the college then allows us to create these spring term experiences really for my field to put the finalizing touch on how you can grow as an individual and as a teacher. And for me, my class goes to Disney World because little Not very many people know that there is teacher training at Disney World called Disney Yes programs. They're actually revamping it right now, and I'm very excited because I got my information today about my spring term that's going to go in 2021, where we actually spend a week in Disney and we train in Epcot. In their Epcot classrooms, where we look outside the window and we see the actually geosphere, the white ball outside the window, and we train with Teachers of the Year from the National Education Association. And so when I think about you as a rising senior, if you're interested in education at all, doesn't have to be special ed, could be any kind of, could be educational studies. Maybe you want to be an occupational therapist. Maybe you want to be a speech therapist. Maybe you want to just work in kids in some way. We have programs for that too. Educational studies is a great path in order for you to learn how to work with kids. Maybe that's in a museum. It doesn't matter how you want to approach it. We are there, and we're going to adjust a program to make sure that you have an internship, a student teaching experience, a clinical experience, any of those kinds of things, to make sure that it is customized to you and that you are getting out of it what it is that you want. And that is actually my favorite thing about working at Alma, is being a part of that process with you. Dr. Harfman?
Well, I actually want to come from a slightly different angle, because the spring terms that I teach, they're very, I guess they are experiential. They're just more cellular molecular. So it gives us an opportunity to get students in the lab, and we actually culture muscle cells. We keep them in an incubator, we grow them up. You can actually put an electrode in there and cause them to contract like your muscles in your body would. And then we can do mini experiments on them. But I was going to talk a little bit more about spring terms that I took as a student, because I just love them so much. I went to Scotland with the choir, and I just remember experiencing a new culture and forming that family within the choir while I was there. And then I took a spring term in psychology, where we were looking at psychology during World War II, and we actually went to Germany and Austria as a part of that course. So.
All valuable information, and I am sure that our students listening gained great perspective. So I am always happy to spend time with the three of you. Our time has come to a close for this session, so we will start to transition over to more of the performing arts at Alma College and what students can expect there when they're not in the classroom. What are the other things that they can be doing? But we know that we can always, if students have questions later, we can connect them with all of you, and we know that you're happy and willing to do that. So with that, I am going to say thank you. Hopefully no more boats, Dr. Yates, will get in the way. Have a great evening, and thank you again. So at this time, what I'm going to do is I am going to welcome Kristen Bennett, who is our Performing Arts Recruitment Coordinator. Hello, Kristen.
Hi.
Great to have you. So we just got done talking about in the classroom and a little bit of what students can expect through the curriculum and just that relationship with their professors. But when they're not in the classroom, we have a full suite of performing arts. And a lot of times students want to know, what does that mean? You know, what do I need to be prepared for if I know that I want to try and get a scholarship for choir or for band? You know, what's that look like for me? What's that time commitment though? If I am a double major or I am a single major and I just want to make sure I can balance it all well. So can you just talk a little bit more about the performing arts that we do offer at Alma, and then what a student could anticipate if they were to be involved?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a lot of different opportunity. A student does not have to major or minor to be involved in the performing arts, and I think that's really important because they can certainly double major in an academic area and an art, or they can double major in business and biology and still participate. That's really important to us, and the arts are really supported at Alma. Just ensemble-wise, we have 4 vocal groups, 2 a cappella groups within that, a male and female a cappella group. We have a marching band, we have percussion ensemble, we have a pipe band because we are the Scots. We have bagpipes and drumming. We have a wind ensemble. We have a chamber orchestra. So there's so many different opportunities to be involved. coming to Alma doesn't mean you have to let go of that art that you've been doing your whole life. You can continue to dance, you can continue to work backstage, all of those things that you're passionate about. And a lot of those things you can earn credit for, which is really exciting. So you can participate in the Alma College Dance Company and receive credit, in the Alma College Theater Company and receive credit towards your humanities or towards your major or your minor. The possibilities are endless. Each group has about 3 to 4 performances a year, so there's a lot of opportunity to perform. There's opportunities, as Katie said, for scholarships, which I think is really important. And again, you do not have to major or minor to receive one of those scholarships. The process is pretty simple, and especially with this past year, you can audition in person or virtually, so we have a lot of different options for you there. Usually it's just connecting with that director. The director of the choir, the director of the band, of the dance company or theater, and just sharing your talent with the director, talking about what you'd like to do while you're in college, whether you want to dance professionally after you leave, whether you want to be on TV, that's an option for you too, and just talking about your goals. I think that's really important, and something that our faculty is really phenomenal at is learning what a student loves and what they're passionate about, and helping them achieve those goals however they can. So scholarships are an option. Auditions are pretty simple. I help schedule all those, so I would be the person that you'd reach out to schedule that audition. Hopefully we'll see a lot more auditions happen in person in this next year. We're really excited about that. But the scholarships are fantastic. They renew every year. There's a lot of options for our students as far as those scholarships. You can have one that doesn't have a lot of requirements, and then maybe a scholarship that has a couple more. But our performers are really used to a rigorous schedule, so that transition to college is pretty easy. You're used to being in academic classes all day, and then you have rehearsal or performances at night. So that schedule is relatively the same. We do have a nice block of time at night for our performers to rehearse. And like I said, a really beautiful schedule of performances that are open to the public, and a phenomenal space that you'll see hopefully on our tour. Presbyterian Hall and Strosacker Theater are really fantastic spaces that are dedicated to the arts at Alma. So lots of scholarships, auditions year-round, and phenomenal opportunities for all of our students.
Great. I think, you have so many years of experience, Kristen. I mean, you were a dance faculty member for many years. And, as you look back and you think about students that you've seen and dancers that you've seen, and just knowing all the performing arts, what would you say as a tip, like an insider's tip, right? If there's a student who knows, yeah, I'm doing marching band, or I know I'm doing dance, what would you encourage them to kind of look forward to or to work on over the coming months, and just what you've seen, be a successful tool for these students that are majoring, but then also in the performing arts?
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what we're here for, the faculty and all of your admissions reps. We want to serve you. That's what we're there for. So so ask those questions before you come to campus. Ask those detailed questions about what should be a part of your audition. Everybody's different, so everybody's going to want to show something that's unique to them, that shows you at your best. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, and also don't be afraid to say your lofty goal. This is exactly where I want to be. We've had a couple dancers that have just blown my mind. They came in their freshman year and they said, I want to work with dance and special ed. This is how I want it to happen. Here's where I want to go. How can you help me do that? And those types of students, I mean, that's just so much fun to sit down and be like, all right, let's do it. How can we help you get there? How can we help you achieve those goals? So don't be afraid to ask those questions, and don't be afraid to reach high. Those are the things that we're here to help you do. All of our faculty are incredibly well connected, and they'll get you those internships. They'll make sure that you're performing in the summertime. They want you to reach those goals. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Great. Well, I'm sure our students have learned a lot already about the performing arts. So, Kristen, I think with that, we'll let you go for the evening, and we will transition over to our next session. So, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
And now I would like to welcome Sarah Deering, who is our Director of Athletics. And so she'll talk a little bit more about athletics at Alma College. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Katie. Hello, everyone.
Awesome. So again, similar to what we've been talking about all night of just kind of building that expectation, right? Not just of college, but more specifically about Alma College. And I have seen it before. We have had students that are double majoring and maybe they're also in dance, but also like to pursue a sport. And even if it's not at the collegiate level, maybe it's intramural. So if you could just talk with our students a little bit tonight about what the options are within athletics at Alma College, and if they are pursuing that collegiate level, what they could anticipate for a schedule and how we accommodate our student athletes to make sure that they're not too conflicted with classes and practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So right around 50% of our students at Alma are student athletes. And so all of the opportunities that are provided to all students are also provided to our student athletes as far as tutoring. The bonus is that you are in practices quite often. So you also have the luxury of having your coaches keep track of your schedules, making sure that you are staying up to date in class and attending class. We also have a system on campus that everybody, faculty, as well as our coaches have access to, which is called Starfish. So if a student athlete is missing a course, a faculty member might put in a Starfish alert and saying, hey, John Smith didn't show up to class today, and that coach will receive that. And it's not tattling or, trying to throw anybody under the bus, but really just trying to help and be a resource for those students. And, we find that this is a question that I get quite often is how do we balance athletics and academics? And one thing that is true actually nationwide, but especially, we've found this through studies here at Alma is that our student athletes really do perform better while they're in season. They have that coach support, they have that team support, and their schedules are just really structured. So they know exactly when they're going to practice, they know exactly when they're going to lift, they know when they're leaving for the bus to travel. And so that structure really helps them perform better in the classroom when they're in season.
Mm-hmm. I know being at Alma as a student, I had lots of friends that were involved in athletics and often involved in more than one sport. And we did have a question come across, can students successfully participate in more than one sport at Alma?
We do have a few student athletes that are dual sport. I actually believe that we have a student athlete that'll be on the student panel that is both a volleyball player and a softball player.
Really?
I think. Okay. I was going to say on the student panel later. So she can talk a little bit about her experience too, if that's, I see that that's a question there. The big thing is that the coaches really work well together. We have a really strong group of coaches that work well. We ask that the student obviously take charge and communicate their needs. We don't want to, over push them too much that they're, only within their sport, bouncing from, sport to sport and not having that time for classes. But we try to work and allow our student athletes to do that if they're wanting to. We don't have a ton of student athletes that dual sport, but when I first started at Alma, I was actually the volleyball coach, and I even had a student athlete that was a volleyball player, a women's basketball player, and she also did track and field. So we had a 3-sporter at that time too. So it's possible. I always say that Alma is, if I were to describe Alma in one word, it would be opportunity. So we want to provide those opportunities for you as well within athletics, and we want to try to make you be successful, not just in the playing field, but in the classroom and in life. So I think we can do to help you with that.
Yeah. Similar to how we talked about professors and students and relationships and being understanding. So for coaches, could you maybe give a couple examples of how they support students in structuring that schedule? I know I've heard of coaches having study table, or these are the hours, or, partnering with mentors, just a couple of examples of what to be true for some of our teams and how they structure that for students.
Yeah. And, our coaches have a lot of flexibility, and they do what they really feel they need to do for their team, for their culture. When they're scheduling, our coaches will all get their student athlete schedules, and they'll try to plan practices as best they can around those schedules. They're also really flexible. So if they have a decent amount of students that have a lab that runs till 4:20 on a Tuesday, they might do some individual sessions at the start of a practice and then do more team focused workouts toward the end of practice when everybody's able to be there. Same thing with lifts, with workouts. Study tables, again, a lot of our coaches do require study tables. Some might do it just for first year students. Some might do if you're below a 3.0. It really is what the coach really thinks that the team needs. And some might require specific hours within the Center for Student Opportunity or require tutoring. And so it's a lot of it is individualized for each student and for each team.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have time for one more thing to talk about. So I guess my mind kind of goes to, those students who are maybe on the fence about continuing sports at Alma, but maybe they want to stay active. What are some opportunities for students that are in that position?
Yeah, so if you're thinking about playing a sport, I do recommend that you reach out to the coach at Alma. Shoot them an email, maybe even send them a short video clip of you playing that sport. Or if you're a swimmer or track and field and you have times or golf, you can always send, what you're hitting on the golf course, whatever it might be. Reach out to that coach and get in touch with them and just kind of see what the opportunities are for you within that sport. If you're not interested necessarily in continuing to be a student athlete, but you want to continue to stay active, the Alan J. Stone Rec Center really does a nice job of doing different things with Adventure Rec, with intramurals, with different programming. We have, yoga, cardio, drumming. We just hired a new director of recreation who's talking about doing a hip hop class. So we're trying to do some different new things, but intramurals and different activity courses and classes are really popular.
Great. Well, I would know as a student what my options were at Alma College. So Sarah, thank you. That ends our session together tonight. And of course, if students have additional questions, if they come through in the evening, we'll make sure that we can connect you with the students. So thank you again.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. And at this time, we will transition over to living on campus. So we'll talk with Nicholas Benjamin, who is our Assistant Director of Residence Life for the first year experience. Hi, Nicholas.
Hello, Katie.
Awesome. So, Nicholas, let's recap. We have talked with professors, right? Students know, okay, I'm in the classroom. That's what I can expect. We've talked about life outside of the classroom. So if I'm in the performing arts or if I'm an athlete, that's kind of what it would look like for me. But when I'm ready to have a little bit of a different pace, right? Where will I live as a student at Alma College? What's that experience going to be like for me? I'm hoping that you'll be able to enlighten us a little bit about what our students can anticipate as, throughout their first year at Alma College.
Yeah, it's first of all amazing living here on campus. We do have a residency requirement for our first year students. If you're within 25 miles, you can be a commuter student. But for the most part, our first year students are here on campus. And the really, really cool thing is we have 2 residence halls for first year, Brusky and Galston. And in those halls, it's only first year students. So you get to live amongst your peers who are going through the exact same things that you are all going through. I also love living on campus. I live on campus myself. It's an amazing experience. But really anything that you would need, Galston, our residence hall, or one of our first year's residence halls, has a connection right to Joe's. So if you want that like midnight snack, you literally just have to go down in the hallway, literally in your pajamas, you get something to eat. And Brusky's right across from the rec center. So really anything that you do on campus, your residence hall is not even 2 minutes away from your classrooms, athletic facilities, things like that. We also do programming for first year. So we want to get you out and about in the residence halls, get you involved, helping you make friends, things like that.
Could you speak a little bit more? This is a term that the students tuning in would not know, but we have students that are first year guides. And when we think about transitioning to college, right, it'll be enough that our students are in their senior year and they're wrapping up that time in their life, and then they're preparing for a new chapter and a lot of unknowns. And so we've implemented this first year experience, not only with housing, but again, with those connections. And so we have first year guides that will help students adjust to campus within their first semester. But Nicholas, could you maybe talk just a little bit more about what that could mean for a student that's transitioning over to Alma and living on campus and trying to take in that balance of, again, academics, athletics, any other clubs, organizations that they can get involved with?
Yeah, I think the really great thing, going back to, we heard from faculty, athletics, performing arts, and a lot of things that they were saying is that they have your back. But the other thing is all the students here have each other's backs. It's one of the most refreshing thing that I have seen working at this institution. So our first year guides really act as your orientation leaders. When you come to campus, you'll be assigned a first year guide. This is a person to really help you with your first semester. They'll stay with you pretty much throughout your first semester. They'll do things like check in, see how you're doing. Maybe you want to join a club. You just don't know exactly which club to join, or you have an idea to join a club. Really great example is we had a few students who wanted to do a squirrel watching club. They just got 5 students together and they were able to make that club. They received funding from our student congress. So anything you want to do on campus, you can make happen. And those first year guides are really designed to make sure that Alma becomes your home away from home. We also have RAs, who are upper class students who serve as mentors within the hall. They live on your floor, and they just really make sure that you are acclimating well to campus. They'll put on some fun programs, like they might have an ice cream night, a pizza night. They might show a movie. But the thing that, like I said, Alma students have each other's backs. From the start when you get here your first year to when you get out of here, anytime you need anything, if you need to talk to someone, if you need another friend, anything like that, the students are here for each other. And as somebody who works here, it's great to see every day people are making friends every single day here at Alma.
That's amazing. And for those listening, we do have over 80 clubs and organizations, so lots to do. We have a world-renowned Model UN team. We have a great presidential honors program. There's lots to do and get involved with on Alma's campus. So we know confidently and can speak from experience, you won't find a time where you're looking around thinking, I don't have anything to join. There will be lots to join, lots to do, and you'll find that pace that works for you to join those things. A couple of things. One, though, Nicholas, you are in, I believe, a residence room right now on Alma College's campus, and around you, outside that window, should be a parking lot. And we get the question a lot of times when it comes to first year and transitioning to campus. Can students bring a car?
Yes. So unlike many other institutions, we do allow first year students to bring a car. All you have to do is register your car, get a parking pass. And what we do is we design them for wherever you live is the individuals who can buy that certain parking pass. So any first year student can buy a parking pass. I think one of the other neat features about living on campus as well as that some schools don't have is our washer and dryers are also free. You don't have to bring quarters with you. You don't have to scrounge. That's a free service. We have enough parking on campus. I also saw there was a question in the chat about roommates. I want to make sure I get there. I think it's my favorite thing about my job is getting to work with all of you before you come to campus, making sure you find a roommate. The really nice thing that you can do is when you put a deposit down in the housing system, you'll answer about 5 or 6 questions about yourself. Things like, how do you prefer to sleep? How do you prefer your room? Is it tidy? Is it controlled chaos? And then you'll get to see every student who put down similar things to you and connect with them before you actually get to pick them as a roommate. If you find someone that has a lot of similarities or you just hit it off with them, you can select them as a roommate. And once you select that person as a roommate, that will be your roommate for your first year. And all you have to do is click a room. The other really nice thing is when you select a room, you'll get to see a floor plan of the building, where it's located, and you just have to click literally on the floor plan and it will assign you to that room.
Nicholas, I'm so happy. Brianna Johnson is our first, one of our questions of the evening, but someone we can definitely get in for the prize drawing tonight. So Brianna asks, what percentage of upperclassmen move off campus after freshman year?
Really great question. So we do have a 4-year residency requirement. So for the most part, our students do live on campus through the majority of 4 years. And I think our students really like that model of getting to live on campus for 4 years. They get to be with their friends for that 4 years. We do have a few exceptions, things like student teaching. If you're in the nursing program, if you have something that would, is far away for you to get to, we could make an exception for that. But the majority of our students actually stay here for the 4 years that they're here.
Awesome. Anything else, Nicholas, that you think is worthwhile for our students to know?
Yeah, I think the worthwhile thing to know is that as well in our residence halls is they're grouped in a way so it's not overwhelming with the people in the residence hall. Each residence hall holds about 30 some students per wing or per floor. Instead of, you're not going to be with 100, 200, 300 different people. You really get to be with a tight knit group of students. Every year I get to see the different floors, and by the end of it, everyone identifies but what floor they live on. Which is really cool to see someone to say, I live on Gelston second floor. I'm a Gelston second floor. And it's a really unique experience, I think, to really form that tight-knit bond that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, Nicholas, I've enjoyed my time with you. We are going to pop over to our next session, but thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
All right. And now you've heard a lot of wonderful things about Alma College, and so you may be starting to think, okay, how do I activate my process? How can I apply to Alma? What do the scholarships look like at Alma College? So I'm going to welcome my colleague, Caroline Heitzman, and she is our senior assistant director of admissions, and she will give a presentation about applying scholarships, financial aid at Alma.
Yes, hello everyone, and I'm going to go ahead and have my screen share so you can see our presentation. All right, so jumping into it, the admissions process at Alma College is fairly simple. We are looking for that application to open in August, and it is free. We're also on the Common App if you don't want to go right to our website and find the application. There is a writing portion you'll be required to submit, as well as your official high school transcripts. So for this coming academic year, that is all we are requiring. So again, August, free, and then your high school transcript. So pretty seamless. Following your application, you will hear back in two-ish weeks regarding your acceptance status. And then we begin applying scholarships. So right from the start, our students receive merit-based scholarships in a range based off of that overall high school GPA that was on that transcript. And then off of that GPA, we do start to submit, look at other opportunities. So the Scholar Summit is for our Tartan level, Dean level, and presidential level, as well as the Presidential Scholar Summit, where you can have the opportunity to interview with Dr. Abernathy for a full or partial tuition scholarship. The Scholar Summit and Presidential do require a short interview, so you get to talk to more awesome Alma College faculty and staff and get more connected. We also have a plethora, which you've heard about, of other scholarships regarding the performing arts, and then just student engagement activity interests that you can really look into and either join, be a part of that, but not have to major or minor in. So if you are a dancer, you could submit a video performance of your dance and receive a scholarship, or you could look at an art design scholarship. We do have an esports team, so falling under that umbrella of athletics, we have an esports team with their own arena and a specialty scholarship to be a member of that team. We also have a very open faith life on campus and scholarships that fall in line with that, where you're working directly with our chaplain, Dr. Andrew Palmerville. If you're going into certain academic majors, such as education or the STEM field, there are application-based scholarships that you're going to want to apply to for those, and some interview processes for those. And then we have our Opportunity Award. So if you are a student of an underrepresented race, religion, or the LGBTQIA plus community, you could be awarded that scholarship through your application or a self-disclosure to your admissions representative. And then we also have the Alumni or Referral Scholarship. So if you have been encouraged to check out Alma, attend Alma to see what we're all about, you can either have that put on your application or they can fill out a referral form for you. And these are just the Alma College scholarships. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities outside of Alma that we want to encourage you to check out as well. So October 1 of your senior year is the FAFSA, and that is when you're filling that out with your parents. And it is a little bit of a process, but we are here to support you through that. We are here to answer your questions, to give you reminders, to tell you, yep, you're right on track. It should be with us within the next 4 weeks. Or if maybe you have some other questions that need to be answered through the FAFSA, we're able to help you with that. High school counselors also do a great job of hosting FAFSA nights or college application nights. So go to those events that your high school counselors put on. We also put on a few, so feel free to attend those if you want some extra assistance. In FAFSA and federal and state aid are really looking at ways that the government can assist, hopefully, our families that maybe have some need-based aid. There's also the loan opportunities with the FAFSA. So it's an important aspect. Every college is typically requiring that if you plan on filing. And so it is something that you're able to add your colleges to and then receive assistance throughout the admissions process, throughout the financial aid process with the FAFSA as you need it. Our financial aid office at Alma wants to work with you. They want to help you. And so we've created the financial aid website and our TV that is there to show you how to answer these tough FAFSA questions or to learn more about loan opportunities or what types of grants are available. And so these videos are available 24/7. Tune in, get answers to your questions, see a introductory video about how to fill out the FAFSA, and really get a better understanding of the financial aid process, because college is an investment into your education. And so we want to make sure that you understand the whole process and you feel confident in your decision and the opportunities to pay for college. All right, the timeline. So what we're looking at is right now, students are visiting college. Into the fall, students are visiting their college. We're applying, we're receiving some of that merit-based scholarship information, looking at what are some of the possible scholarship opportunities you could apply for or audition for, and then remembering to file the FAFSA October 1st of that senior year. In the winter, a lot of students come back and visit campus. They might attend an athletic event or a performing arts event, or they want to shadow a student for the day or see what a class is like. They might do an on-campus interview for a scholarship. So, it's a little bit slower in the winter for a lot of people. And so we invite families back to campus and still stay engaged. Absolutely. See what a full year looks like as a student at that college. We also send out financial aid award letters. So when you're receiving your scholarships, you filed the FAFSA, we go ahead and put together your financial aid award letter that covers those costs. And then you're able to see, okay, these are my costs for Alma College. And now I want to talk through what are the options? Where is my family at? And how are we piecing the puzzle together to pay for college and having those conversations, and also including your admissions representative to answer your questions. In the spring, that is the time to tidy up loose ends, finish any missing information that is needed for maybe financial aid or declaring your commitment to Alma College and getting ready to join the housing process and choose where you're going to live on campus and choose your meal plan and start to meet other prospective students and choose a roommate. So really in the spring, it's an exciting time. It's when we get a lot of commitments for students. You can commit anytime, but the spring, that May 1 decision deadline is there for across the nation for students to choose their college. And so the spring is a very exciting time and it's a very busy time. Graduation could be upon you, as well as committing to your college and getting things in line. And then summer, graduating from high school is typically what happens. And then you're really transitioning to an Alma College student. You are meeting your advisor. You are attending specialty events such as becoming a Scate for just Alma College committed students to get better connected, to learn from professors and resources and supports on campus. And then towards the end of summer, our students are moving in, but throughout the summer, we are connecting with our students on all of those things, including billing, their class courses, and making sure they feel comfortable during move-in to have a successful academic year. Couple questions that always happen for our high school students that are also taking challenging classes and they're looking to receive credit for those challenging classes in high school. So AP classes, if you're looking at transferring any of those in, making sure that you have our qualifying scores needed to count at Alma College. If you have questions about that, contact your admissions representative and we're able to give you our sheet that covers what scores are needed. Additionally, IB courses and what those look like at Alma. We're a very IB friendly school, and so that would transfer in as a full 32 credits. So definitely something to pursue if your high school does offer it, what it would look like at Alma College, and always asking that question. And dual enrollment. So taking classes possibly at a local community college, transferring those to Alma, how would they transfer? What would they replace? What does that look like on your overall high school transcript? Obviously, you can see there, you must have a C or better for those classes. All of these classes, these experiences are really preparing you for a great academic foundation at Alma College. So if you might not have the score needed or the exact grade that was needed to transfer in as credit, it was still a really great preparation. But if you do have that and what is what needed, then yes, let's transfer it in for the credits that it could be applied to. All right. So we had a question in the chat about sending in SAT scores. So we actually are not requiring those SAT scores this academic year due to COVID-19 and the lack of testing availability. And so a great thing for our students is that they are able to just send in their high school transcripts. We have always been a test optional institution, or for quite some time we've been test optional. And so we have been able to offer that previously, and now with the pandemic, we're able to offer that across the board for our students. So, anything else? Hello.
Caroline, you've given us great information, and
Yeah.
I'm sure, again, students that are listening know their direction if they want to start applying. And August, right? That process will open and continue throughout the fall. We are rolling admissions, so they'll have plenty of time to submit their application. Thank you, Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now what we'll do is we kind of lean towards the end of our evening. We will welcome some current students. You've met quite a few alumni tonight, and you're probably wondering, where are the current students that are experiencing the Alma education? So we have 3 students that will join us. We have Abby Killian, Danny Barr, and Haley Ulrich, and they are coming on here right now. Hello.
Hello.
Great. So what we'll do is I'll have you go around and introduce kind of what you do at Alma, what you're majoring in, and then after that, we'll see if any of our students have posted in the chat something specific that they want to know from a student. And if not, I'll have a question that I'll ask all of you that I ask on every student panel. So, but Abby, we'll go ahead and start with you if you want to lead us off.
Yeah, hi, my name is Abby. I'm a senior this upcoming year. I'm a biology major and a psychology minor. I'm on the pre-med track. I do a lot of things on campus, so this is one of my many jobs. I have 4 jobs this past semester. I'm in a sorority. I've done my own independent research on campus, and as well, I'm the president of our iGEM team, which is a synthetic biology student-run research organization on campus.
Thank you. Danny?
Hi, I'm Danny. I will also be a senior in the fall, and I am a theater major with a focus in performance. I'm also involved in Greek life, Delta Gamma Tau fraternity. I'm in the National Theater theater honorary, Alpha Psi Omega. I'm in Alma Choir and the male a cappella group Scots and the Rocks. And I also work for admissions, so I'm very involved in campus.
Thank you. Haley?
Hi, I'm Haley. I am an accounting major, so I am also a senior here at Alma. I work for admissions this summer, and then I am also a part of the volleyball and softball team. I also am the SUCO rep for the Accounting Association Club.
Yes, Haley is that dual sport athlete that Sarah Daring was talking about. So all those questions, start them coming if you want to know the scoop on dual sport, being a dual sport athlete. But you know what I always like to ask, so just to lead us off, you know, through your time, you've all been able to have that experience of being here for a few years now. What is that moment, right? What was that moment that you will remember forever, right? Whether that was a moment in class, a relationship with a professor, whether it was a travel experience, you know, what is it about Alma College? What was that moment where you really knew this was the best fit for me? I know that I'll leave Alma with a skill set that's unbeatable, and that you really know you're a Scott. Once a Scott, always a Scott. So I don't know who would like to take that question first. Abby, I see you doing some serious head nods, so maybe you'd like to lead us off.
Yeah, sure. I came from a very small school, so I was looking for a small school. So that was initially what really drew me to Alma. And since being here, the biggest thing that's kept me here is the research that I've been able to be a part of. And not only that, but the relationships with my professors. They get to know you on a lot deeper level outside of just that academic realm that we're all going to be knee deep in once we get here. But the research that I've done on campus has truly changed my life in terms of just like being able to do something you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do, especially at bigger institutions. But not only that, the specific project that I'm working on now, we are focusing on our community. So not only are we getting in the lab and doing the science and understanding the science, but it goes beyond that. And we're really focusing on our community engagement, how to be a better citizen in our community, which is something I never really thought about doing. I never had to do until I got here. So something I am very excited that I've been able to be a part of, to be able to touch the community and be able to really interact with that science communication has really made me a very well-rounded individual, especially going through med.
Great. Danny, I saw you kind of nodding as well. You know, what are some of your favorite takeaways so far about Alma?
One of my favorite takeaways so far was that first a cappella concert. So I never thought I would join an a cappella group, but I love like Pitch Perfect. So getting to be a part of that, and I didn't do it my first couple of years. I got asked to be a part of the group this past year, junior year, and that concert, that was a blast. But another one is the traveling opportunities with theater. I got to go to 2 different theater conferences in Wisconsin, and just networking and getting the chance to perform and audition in front of like a Broadway judge. Just getting thrown into these hands-on opportunities. I knew that it was a good choice that I chose Alma College, getting that opportunity right away, and getting big roles right away in my first year here. So
great. Haley?
Mine is also, along with Abby's, it's the faculty here. The faculty is amazing. They are here to help you succeed in any way possible. Even if you don't have classes with them, you get to know them. They come to the sporting games a lot, or like people after the games will come and talk to you. And it's really cool how well you can connect with the other faculty. And it's not just the professors, but it's also like the coaches and the admissions reps, and also like people that work in different departments. And it's really cool how you can connect with all of them and get to know people so easily on campus.
Mm-hmm. Great. So Abby, if you wouldn't mind, I mean, when we say current student panel, right? Like, what are we can hear what you are doing, but walk us through, what's your schedule like? What's the dining like? Where can students go off of campus, right? We've talked a lot about on-campus opportunities, but when they're ready to walk off of Alma College's campus, what can they expect to find? So just kind of walk us through what's a day kind of like, and what are the options for students outside of campus?
Yeah, I think the coolest thing, and I think somebody kind of touched on it earlier, was just about like you won't be in class for 7 hours out of the day. You get to kind of build your own schedule. I think all of us have very different schedules. We build it different ways. I get done with my classes before noon every single day. It's been that way since I was a sophomore. So now for 2 years and going into my senior year, it's the same way. So I finish all my classes before noon. Typically, again, I have 4 jobs. So juggling those, working in the afternoon, and then kind of going, that's kind of like what that academic side looks like. But then also any extracurriculars. So Haley was saying she is involved in a lot of athletics on campus. Danny is involved in a cappella groups, choir, those shows that he'll put on with theater. I'm involved in that research, and that all happens after school, after hours. So all of us have those extracurriculars we're doing as well. Dining on campus, we will see this in the tour later, but we have a dining hall that serves a variety of options for our students. We also have Joe's. So I think that Residence Life kind of talked about this as well, but we have a little restaurant on campus that's open until midnight every day. So that's a really nice option. But there's a lot of other places in town too. So everything is within walking distance in Alma, which is really nice. So where I am right now, I could walk down and get some ice cream. But Starbucks, you can spend your extra money that you have that comes with your meal plan. Starbucks, Serendipity, which is a little ice cream place. Highland, or not Highland, it's been at Highland Java. That's our little coffee shop in the library. But Highland Blush, it's a coffee shop downtown. El Vaquero, Mexican place in town. Blockhouse, which is where our esports arena is, as well as like very cool, like very modern food that is just very different downtown by our Opera House. Those are renovated apartments for our students as well. So lots of different options. I don't know if Haley and Danny, if you had anything else to kind of add to that, but pretty typical, I guess.
Something cool about Blockhouse is that you can go play video games for free as a student. So while getting very good food with your lunch money. But yeah, no, definitely. We all the students take advantage of the off-campus options. The amount of times I had a tight schedule because I just had different rehearsals and stuff, and I would order Jimmy John's. So yeah, I mean, definitely a big advantage having the lunch money.
So tell us a tip, right? A tip for these juniors, rising seniors, as they go into their senior year. What do you recommend they do? How do they start to kind of filter through some options? Or if they're unsure, what's my next step? What do I want out of life? There's a lot of thoughts, a lot of questions, a lot of emotions as they go into senior year, and a lot of unknown. So if you can think back that far, what would you recommend, advice you would give to them as they approach this time in their lives?
I'll go first. I definitely look at the different schools and see what they have to offer. And find those programs that you want, and try to visit as many schools as possible. And at the end of the day, I mean, just try to go somewhere that feels like home. Like when I stepped on Alma's campus for the first time, I really fell in love with the small school setting. And I liked the little old school downtown area within walking distance. And that's just the biggest advice, really see what's out there. And also look for those scholarships, help pay for those things. Just Google scholarships. We all know that college can get expensive, so the more scholarships, the better.
Great. I do think it would be worthwhile, as we're talking about opportunities on campus, to show them campus. Abby, what do you think about that?
Yes, sounds good.
So as Abby transitions and gets ready to share her screen, I wanted to thank Danny and thank Haley for popping in tonight and joining us. And they can definitely stick around, but Abby is going to lead this tour for us. You can see some spaces around campus.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to try to not move our screen too much just because make sure we don't have any lag here. But if you came on campus, this is where your tour would start, right at the admissions building. Here, we'll go into Swanson Academic Center first. So this is our humanities building. This is where a lot of those humanities classes would be. So think business, English, religion, any political science classes you have. Our psychology classes are in our lower level. You can have more than just those humanities classes in this building, however. So this class in particular, I had my cancer biology class in. So really just depends on what classes you're going to be taking. I had chemistry in this class. So it's not just limited to those humanities, but wanted to show you this typical classroom. Typical size is about 18 students. So if you came from a bigger school, it might be smaller class size than you're used to. For those of you who are in smaller schools right now, I graduated with 80 people. This is a pretty typical size for me, and one reason why I came to Alma was because of these smaller class sizes. When you are coming in, the biggest class you might have, and Dr. Harfman kind of touched on this earlier, but maybe 45, 50 students, not super big. The smallest class we've heard of was like 4 people. I think one of our reps who graduated said he had 4 people in his class. This past semester, I took embryology that had 8 people in it. So really just depends on what your interests are and what year you are too. So the farther you get in your education here, you'll have those smaller classes. But a good space to kind of show you. We'll head over to our Dow Science Center, if I can find my mouse. And this is our Dow Science Center. So this is where all of our biology, chemistry, physics, all of that fun stuff is going to be. Where we're standing right now, when I was a senior in high school, this used to be a huge courtyard. So as you can see, renovation is happening on campus. Lots of other spaces are to be renovated as well. So all of our residence halls have been renovated within the last 4 years. We'll be able to see one of those today. Our chapel is being renovated. Actually, it will be done in the fall, which is really exciting. And our library is actually going to go through some renovation here in 2022. So lots of new spaces for you guys to be able to use on campus when you get here. But wanted to show you this space. Again, this is where all of that fun research happens, where all of our science students pretty much hang out all the time. Next, we'll go over to Presbyterian Hall. If you are interested in any performing arts, so think choir, any bands, orchestras, theater performances, dance, this is all going to happen in here. This auditorium seats about 500 people. There's more than just the performing arts that happens in here though. So the school does a pretty good job at bringing entertainment onto campus. So we'll have hypnotists come every single year. My freshman year, we had an SNL comedian come in. We've had America's Got Talents acts come in here, along with different music. So just a really cool space to come. All of those things that I was mentioning are free for students to use with their ID. So really nice that we have those resources. Not pictured in here as well, we have a separate auditorium for our theater program. So that auditorium seats about like 200 people, a little smaller, and that's where most of our theater performances happen, but not pictured. We'll go to Art Smith Arena. So if you are an athlete, this is where you'd live. All these people up here in these banners, these are the people that are within our conference. So again, this is a gym. You guys know what happens in a gym. But this is also where your freshman convocation could be. So where you officially become a Scot, you'll sing the alma mater. There would be kilts and bagpipes and tartan, the whole 9 yards in this space, which is really awesome. This is typically where our graduation happens as well, so it's a really nice full circle story at Alma. A couple honorable mentions that we always like to talk about when we are in this space in our athletic facility is our two teams that are recognized nationally. So our cheer and stunt team has won three national championships, and our dance team has won 2 national championships. So very awesome space to kind of see, awesome teams to be a part of. And if you are going to be an athlete on campus here, you'll get paired up with buddy teams. So those are just teams that have opposite seasons of you. So for example, like women's volleyball, men's baseball, those guys would pair up and they would go to all each other's home games. So not only are you a part of a population on campus, over 50% of our students are athletes, but you then have these closer teams that'll bring you Gatorades before the games, go to all of your home games. It's a really awesome way to interact with other athletes on campus. Next, we'll go into this space. So if you are interested in any pre-health profession, think pre-occupational therapy, pre-physical therapy, pre-dental, pre-med, really any of those pre-health professions, nursing, all that stuff will kind of occur in here. There's a lot of machines in here, and to be honest, I don't know what all of them do. Dr. Hartman would be able to walk us through a lot more efficiently through this space. However, this is where a lot of our exercise science happens. So running on the treadmill, seeing if your Fitbit actually works. This summer, they're doing a sleep study in here. So lots of cool things that happen in this space. And again, if you are interested in any of those pre-health professions, this building that we're in right now is going to be a space that you'll find yourself in. We are one of the only undergraduate institutions in Michigan that has a cadaver lab, which is really, really awesome. Very hands-on rather than observation as well. So typically that's something that you wouldn't be able to experience until you were in your graduate education. So after you graduate, from another institution, you go on to PhD or any other graduate program, that's when you'd be able to get that hands-on experience. But you could do that here as early as your sophomore year, which is really, really awesome. So something that kind of sets us apart there. For all of our STEM students as well, we do have a pre-health professions committee. So really what these guys do is write recommendation letters for us, especially when we're going on to apply to med school or any other graduate level program that we would need different recommendation letters for. They help with any application processes as well as like mock interviews, which is really, really awesome. So great resource for us too. Right now we're in our Stone Rec Center. Looks a little different. We just got new floors here about a week and a half ago. They look really, really awesome. So really cool space. This is where all of our intramural sports happen. So think volleyball, basketball, soccer, softball, all of that fun stuff. We do have a suspended track up here on this back wall over here where my mouse is. This is our rock climbing wall. And I think our AD talked a little bit about it, but our adventure rec. So they'll plan trips for us students that'll be free or at a very low price. So Danny always makes a joke. He paid $15 to go to Mackinac Island with the Stone Recreation Center, and he spent more money on the fudge than the actual trip, which is really awesome that we're able to have this resource for us. I'll take us in here as well, and this is our weight room. So our student athletes do have a weight room that was just recently renovated. So that is over in our athletic facility. This is where all of our students, as well as it's open to the public, can come and work out here. But just a space to kind of show you where you can get some time in the gym. We'll head over to our library next. I was saying earlier, our library is going to go under renovation here in January 2022. Lots of things about this space are going to change. However, this is a 3-level building. Our upper level is going to be like a library, what you think of, books, quiet spaces. Here, what we're seeing is a more social environment, which is how it is now, and we're hoping that it'll stay this way. People meet here for tutoring. You saw Highland Java over here to the left that I panned by. We also have these desks here. These are called carrels. So this is something that you can sign up for at the beginning of a semester. Your name goes on there and no one else can sit there. So it's a really nice space to be able to make sure that you have somewhere to study. and make sure that you can zone in instead of trying to study in your dorm. One last thing I will mention over here is these first come, first serve study rooms. And I'll try to pan over here. All of these study rooms, we have more than just these ones. They're on all 3 levels. They all have either a whiteboard, chalkboard. They typically have monitors in there as well that we can hook our laptops up to. And those are really nice for any group projects, studying for exams, and all of that. We'll head over to Hamilton Commons here. This is our dining hall. So we kind of talked about the off-campus dining options and all those ones down the road from us, within walking distance, that you can spend your lunch money. But this is our dining hall. We call it Saga. It's called Hamilton Commons, but all of our students call it Saga. Over here, we have our entree grill and pizza. This changes every single meal. In the middle here, we have a deli and a salad bar. This is kind of like a Subway, serve yourself type situation. And here over on the end, this is our Mongolian grill over here on the left, and on the right is going to be our pasta station. One of these turns into an omelet station in the morning as well, which is pretty sweet. Variety is really awesome. If you want something different that Saga is not serving, you can go over to Joe's, which I think we're going to be able to see, or maybe not. Joe's is our little restaurant that we have on campus. They are open from 9 a.m. to midnight every single day, which is really nice. Saga does have hours of operation, so 6:30 to 9 is when breakfast is, and et cetera, for lunch and dinner. You do get to pick a meal plan, so depending on your meal plan, you'll get X amount of meal swipes that you can use here at Saga or in Joe's, and then you get typically $300 or $150, depending on the meal plan you choose, of munch money. And munch money are those flex dollars that you can spend at Starbucks, at Jimmy John's, at those places downtown, but also at Joe's. So Joe's not only is a little restaurant, but also carries a lot of like chips, granola bars, all the essentials that we would need. And we didn't want to go to like Meijer or Walmart or something like that. So that's a little bit about our meal plan as well as our dining services. Next, we'll go into our residence hall. So this is where Nicholas Benjamin was sitting here earlier. He was sitting at this desk. But this is a typical room that you would have on campus. So we are in Gelston. This is one of our freshman dorms. Our other freshman dorm is called Brusky. Everything that's wood comes with the room. So you can stack these, and I haven't made it to the beds, but the beds are bunked in this room. However, you can stack them however you'd like. So there's holes in every piece of furniture so that you'd be able to loft if you would like. You can bring mini fridge, microwave, Keurig, all of that fun stuff, which is great. We also have a pretty big difference between our 2 freshman residence halls that we'll talk about here. So it's our bathrooms. So Gelston, the room we're in right now, the building we're in right now, is the last one on campus that has community style bathrooms, the ones you typically think of when you think college. All of our other residence halls, including Brusky, have private community style bathrooms. So think of the bathrooms you guys have at your home where it's a single use only. So in a hallway that has 8 rooms, like the one I lived in last year, we had 3 bathrooms outside in the hallway where it's individual use only. One person can use it at a time. I've lived in both Gelston and in other residence halls that have the different style bathrooms, and both are equally available, and really isn't nothing is inconvenient. Everything is pretty normal, pretty easy to access. So wanted to show you this space just because this is where you guys would be living. We can head back over to the Center of Student Opportunity. Lots of things are housed in here. So our diversity inclusion services, as well as our academic and disability services, career resources. So think of resume building, cover letter writing, mock interviews, networking with our alumni, especially for people who are going into careers right after Alma, getting internships. Those are all really awesome things that our this space can offer for us. The biggest thing that I typically talk about in here is our studying abroad. So Katie kind of talked about this, that our academic calendar is a 4-4-1. This is something that if you were to take one thing away from tonight's meeting, take away our calendar. Those 14-week semesters are really awesome comparative to all of the other schools. Typically have 16-week semesters. You get out of school earlier and you get those awesome spring terms. I know we gave a couple examples of those earlier, but being a bio major, there's a couple other ones I would love to mention because I think they're really cool. So the first one, going to the Amazon, studying the medicinal uses of plants with actual villagers, coming back, writing a research proposal, research project, really, really cool. Another one, getting scuba certified and going scuba diving out in Hawaii, which is really awesome. Being a bio major, that's really interesting to me. Get a couple bio credits out of the way. Somebody who's not a bio major, though, can also do those things. So you do not have to take a spring term that's within your major, which is really, really cool. We could all go backpacking through Italy and do the videography class together. That one's also another really, really cool one. But those are examples of international travel. There's also domestic travel as well as on-campus spring term. So lots of different options for those. Along with that is financial aid. So all of our students do get $2,500 towards that spring term as well. If you can put that venture grant towards something like an internship. You get an internship in Chicago, can't afford the rent. Put your venture grant towards that. So really, really awesome spaces on campus that we're able to show you. And I'm trying to find the little arrow so I can go out to the chapel lawn, but maybe I don't have that. So we'll go back to the beginning. Lastly, I'll talk about our upperclassmen living because we kind of talked about that residence hall. You'll live in those residence halls your first and second years. This big building here is our apartment style living. So you'll have 4 people, a couple rooms, 2 bathrooms, a kitchen, and a living space in this big building. These stoutier buildings over here to the left, this is our suite style living. So you'll have 4 roommates, 2 rooms, and in the middle of those rooms, you'll have a bathroom. So that's what those would look like. The majority of this neighborhood behind these buildings here is owned by the college. So we do have something called themed housing. Most athletes have a house. So for example, I live across the street from the football house. So a lot of them have their own houses. Different programs on campus also do. So the Model UN team has a house. The environmental club has a house. So very, very cool that we were able to do that. As well as the Opera House. So I kind of mentioned this earlier, but the Opera House are fully renovated, brand new, and totally stocked up apartments. They have dishwashers. I'm jealous of that. Flat screen TVs, beautiful, beautiful spaces. And that's somewhere else that we can live our upperclassmen years. But that kind of wraps up the tour. I haven't really been watching the chat, but if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
All right, Abby, thank you. I also don't see any questions in the chat. That just means you gave perfect descriptions of everything and they are absorbing the information, and that is just fine for a night like tonight. That's what it is meant for. So thank you again, Abby. And that really concludes our night. So for those of you that are still tuning in, where do we go from here? So keep an eye on your email. We will be sending you a survey to fill out to tell us about your experience tonight. If you fill it out, you can get entered into a drawing for a $25 Starbucks gift card. So make sure that you do that. And come and see us. And so we would love to host you. We are open. So we do visits Monday through Saturday. We have large weekend events. We'll really start to kick those off in the fall, and they'll go throughout the year. So just pay attention to our website and to what is available. But elma.edu/visit is going to be the primary place that you'll want to go to figure out what's the best fit for you as you start to get going on your search. And of course, Brianna, we will be sending you some swag. Thank you for posting the questions in the chat. We're very appreciative. And so keep an eye out for that in the mail. But with that, we will end our evening. Thank you for joining, and go Scots.